What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Luttie's Look Back. My name is Nick Luttrell. I'm in a bit of a different location than I normally am in our lovely THV11 studios. I'm not being interviewed by someone else. There's no one else behind the camera, actually. I don't even know if there's anyone else in this entire stadium. It's Luttie's Look Back, and it's Luttie's Look Back on the road here at Baum-Walker Stadium. The Razorbacks getting the series win, not the series sweep over Oklahoma. Arkansas looked great Friday, a 12-2 run rule victory over number 24 Oklahoma. Came back the next day. They were down, what was it, 8-5, I think, and then they came back and rattled off, I think, 6 or 7 runs in the 8th inning to come back and win 12-8. And then Sunday, the day of when I'm taping this, a bit of a frustrating loss. Arkansas puts up 10 runs offensively, but then gives up 15 runs and lose 15-10. So before we go any further and I give you my 3 big things, as we always do, here's what Dave Van Horn, here's an interesting thing that Dave Van Horn had to say at the very end of his press conference, a question asked by another journalist.
Are you concerned with the postseason right around the corner? It's been a while since you've played a complete weekend from start to finish.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if you didn't hear that clearly, he said, when asked if there's concern about his team, he said, oh yeah, definitely. That's not great. There's 2 things to talk about that before I go on to my 3 big things. The first side is saying your coach shouldn't say that he's concerned to end the press conference and we're not going to hear from him for another week. Like, instill a little bit of confidence into your fan base before you head off to Lexington for their last regular season series of the season. That would have been nice. To end it like that was kind of like, okay, you could have said a little bit more. So it's a little frustrating. The other side is like, man, he's being truthful. The standard is so much higher for Arkansas baseball than to have not an entire weekend all season long where you put together a series against a team. Was it Xavier here at home in their first home weekend series? It was against Xavier. Arkansas swept that series, and it wasn't perfect, but they put it all together and they won it all. And they won that series against Xavier. So that was terrific, right? That was what he wanted to see out of his Arkansas team to start the season. Of course, there were ups and downs, but that was the last time they swept a team here at home. They didn't do it the rest of the season. And now the regular season is over as far as games here at Baum-Walker Stadium, and Arkansas didn't sweep a team. So I appreciate Dave being honest there, too, because, yeah, that is concerning that you can't put together a full weekend. And I've been saying it on this show. Maybe he watches. Probably not. I've been saying it on this show that Arkansas baseball just can't put a weekend together. They can win a Friday night game like no one else in the country. But can they put together 3 straight games of quality baseball? No. The answer is no. So there's an understanding why that is concerning for this Arkansas baseball team. So I want to start it off with that before we now jump in to my 3 big things. All right, so you see them there, my 3 big things after the Diamond Hogs' series win against Oklahoma. The first one is the confidence that I have in this Arkansas baseball team. I have more confidence in them right now than I did 1 week ago. So that's good, right? You want to see improvement throughout the season. My second big thing, you still got to find a Game 3 starting pitcher. So a little bit of positive for my first big thing, a little bit of a negative for my second big thing. And then finally, my third one is looking to the future. This team is still a bubble or a fringe regional host team, and I'll talk about each of them. Let's start with my first one. I feel better about this team than I did a week ago because of what they did offensively. I knew let's start with Friday night. I knew what Hunter Dietz has, and we've just seen it time and time again this season. And Dave Van Horn said, Dietz wasn't even that good. He wasn't even that good. And he still had a phenomenal performance on Friday night, just mowing down these Oklahoma batters that we saw were actually pretty good the next 2 games. They were. And Hunter Dietz shut them down. So that continues to give me confidence that Dietz is the go-to guy for this Arkansas team and for the pitching staff, but also the offense. The bats this weekend woke up, not just for 1 game, but for all 3 games. 12 runs. The first 12 runs on Friday in Game 1, 12 runs on Saturday in Game 2, and then on Sunday, 10 runs. Do quick math, 24, 34. 34 total runs. I'm going to venture to say that's close to as much as they've had in a weekend series all season long. Now, they've had some games where they've had some great offensive performances, but they haven't put it together. And the crazy thing is this offense didn't look great for the majority of the game on Saturday. I think there was 3 or 4 straight innings they didn't have a single hit. And then came that 8th inning. That 8th inning magic, like we've seen maybe 3 or 4 times this season, like we've seen a couple times here at Baum-Walker Stadium, that 8th inning magic took them to victory to get the win. And that was fun. That was really fun, especially to be here. I don't know if any of you guys watching were actually here watching the game, but that was exciting. That was exciting, and I'm filled with more confidence because the team just continues to fight. They don't lay down when you go down 5-0. Even though they lost this game on Sunday, they were down 5-0. They came back, ended up being tied at 7 at one point, and then just some pitching miscues, a grand slam. I mean, grand slam, that changes a ball game. That changed the game on Friday when Cam Kojal hit that grand slam. But just offensively, I'm filled with more confidence because of what this Arkansas offense showed me this weekend. Cam Kojal, terrific day Friday, not amazing Saturday, pretty good Sunday. TJ Pompey was pretty great all weekend. I'm trying to think of the other guys who had some big hits. I mean, for what's his name, Carter Rutenbar to have a bloody nose one game, then come back and have an RBI single the next game, that's impressive. Not even to start, to come off the bench and to do that. Hopefully he's all okay there because Arkansas doesn't need an injury with the guy at first base. But even though they had an injury, they still had Alexander Peck step up in his place, a bigger target at first base, and then hit that first career home run, maybe a 3-run or a 2-run home run that really solidified it for Arkansas on Friday. That was Friday, right? I think that was Friday. That may have been Saturday. It may have been Saturday. I think it was Saturday. I'm trying to remember. They all run together. But I do. I just have more confidence in this Arkansas team. Now, I know what I've seen out of the pitching, but I think I just expect it at this point. So I think my expectations were a little low of saying, I don't know if they're a regional host team, but after this weekend, I'm like, maybe they are. Maybe it's because I'm here. Maybe it's because I'm surrounded by the greatest ballpark in college baseball. So maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, but I do have more confidence than I did a week ago. So that's my first big thing. My second big thing is a little bit more of a negative one. It's talking about this Arkansas pitching. And I mentioned on this show a couple weeks in a row now about how they need a Game 3 pitcher. And I think for a while, Colin Fisher, and then Tate McGuire, that didn't go so well, and then back to Colin Fisher, and then that didn't go so well again. And then they went Gabe Gackle, I think, recently, maybe 2 weeks ago. And then this week, they go Gabe Gackle Game 2, and they go Cole Gibbler Game 3. I think they'll probably stick with that based on the performances of all 3 starting pitchers. Hunter Dietz is clearly the Friday guy, and then Gabe Gackle performed better than he has when he's starting, so I'll take that. About 5 innings pitched, a couple of runs given up. I'll take that out of Gabe Gackle to start games. And then Cole Gibbler, not amazing. He maybe lasted an inning or two, which is not the Cole Gibbler way. I feel like we've seen better performances out of Gibbler this season. So maybe he's a guy that comes out of the bullpen. But that's the thing with how this game went on Sunday is Cole Gibbler didn't have it. Colin Fisher was okay. Steele Eves was decent. Cooper Dossett came in and had a good inning in the third, or just an inning. Didn't last much after he came in that second one. Mark Brissy, the freshman, coming in a tough moment there and giving up the grand slam. You just have guys that can maybe go an inning, but just can't go longer, and sometimes they can't even make it that far. And so it's just still at this point, I think that's why when you hear Dave Van Horn say he is concerned, like saying yes to that question, I think it's because of that. I think it's Arkansas's pitching staff, which is abnormal because, I think pitching has been, and if you look at the last 5 years of Arkansas baseball, I feel like pitching has been better than batting. I feel like it has. Whose job are people asking for every season? It's Nate Thompson, Arkansas's hitting coach. It's not Matt Hobbs, Arkansas's pitching coach. The reality is one of those guys, maybe both of them, are going to leave for head coaching jobs at some point. And I've been thinking that the past few seasons it hasn't happened. feel like this could be the season that happens, depending on what happens this next month. What does Arkansas do in Lexington? What do they do in Hoover? And what do they do in the NCAA tournament? That will define potentially what happens with those guys. And with this team, obviously. So that's my second big thing. You got to find a Game 3 starter. My final big point is more the future, which I kind of hinted at there, that this team is still a bubble team to be a top 16 regional team. So if they're in the top 16, they're back here the weekend after, so 3 weeks from now. If they're a top 16 team, they're back here at Baum-Walker Stadium. They're hosting a regional. Should they win that regional, they'll probably then go on the road because they won't be a top 8 seed. I can give you 99.9% assurance in that they won't be a top 8 seed. And they've been a top 8 seed, 3 of the last 5 seasons, it feels like. So they won't be that, but they could be a top 16 seed. And if they are, they'll host a regional. If not, they'll go on the road for all of the NCAA tournaments. So that's important. To have your first weekend here is important. Because the season is maybe not a waste, but a disappointment if you don't make it past the regionals. And it's a lot easier to make it past the regionals if you're in the greatest ballpark in college baseball, and that's at Baum-Walker Stadium. And I just don't know if this team is quite there yet. I was this close to asking Dave that question. I was starting to open my mouth, ask the question as they were like, okay, Dave, have a good day, thanks. That was it. I didn't get a chance to ask it. But I wonder what would he say if I said, hey, is your team a top 16 team? You've been coaching here for 21 seasons now? Wait. 2003, 13, 23, 23, 24 seasons now. You know college baseball. Is this team one of the top 16 teams in the country? Do they have what it takes? And I imagine he'd say at times we do, at times we don't. It's up to the committee. I don't know. Hopefully I get a chance to ask him maybe at another point, but did not get a chance to on Sunday. So those are my 3 big things for Arkansas baseball and their series. Let's move on to softball now. Arkansas softball, if you missed it from yesterday, the number 5 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. We're talking about Arkansas baseball trying to make the top 16. Arkansas baseball was in the RPI is the number 1 team in the country. Now they didn't get that in the NCAA tournament, but they were they're a good team. They're a really good team, and it's reflected in the seeding they got. The number 5 overall team. They will host a regional. Should they win that, they'll host a super regional. Should they win that, they'll go on to the Women's College World Series for the first time in program history. That'd be cool, right? It's been this way the past few seasons. They've had great teams. I think this team is even better than years past. I think they've got a really good chance. But they're in a regional. I'll have to double check my notes here. Washington, South Florida, and Fordham are the 3 other teams in their regional. Arkansas should get past those. I'm not going to pretend to be a softball expert or know anything about any of those teams. I did see briefly before coming to do this show, Arkansas's never beat Washington. They've only beat South Florida once, and they've lost like 4 or 5 times to either one of them. It's been a while since they've played each other. That's just history. That's just history against those teams. It doesn't matter because this year is much different. Arkansas is a good team. They're better than all those other teams in their regional. Should they win their regional, they will advance to the Super Regionals, and they will either play Arizona or Duke in the Super Regionals. So that's how the bracket looks for the softball Hogs. And I may have a few more notes to go about this, but before I do, let's hear from head coach Courtney Deifel what she had to say Sunday after the selection show.
It's always exciting to see your name. I'll never take it for granted. We knew we had the resume that would work us into what we thought would be a top 8 seed. And so, but until you see your name and you see that number, you really have no idea. And so I'm just really proud of our team, and it's always exciting. I will be excited with chills every time. This one was no different. We were really excited.
And once again, if you haven't been keeping up with this Arkansas softball team, they're good. That's why they're a top 5 nationally ranked team. It'd be awesome to see them get out of their regional and their super regional and make it to Oklahoma City for the first time in program history. Just like years past, Peyton Burnham, Robin Herron, flip that. Robin Herron, the ace for the Razorbacks, a first-team All-SEC selection. Peyton Burnham, second-team All-SEC selection. They're leading the way in the circle for the Razorbacks. They've also got Saylor Timmerman this year, a freshman that is one of the best recruits coming into one of the best Razorback softball recruits that they've had, I think. And she has been up and down this season, but her most recent performances have been really good, especially in that series in Austin against Texas, a Texas team that is the number 2 overall national seed. So they got two of those girls, 3 of them, I should say, in the circle pitching wise. Hitting, they've got 2 all SEC players in Dakota Kennedy and Ella McDowell. And then they got Tiana Bell and Brinley Bain. Tiana Bell is a girl who's been around for a while. She knows how to hit baseballs a far away. She leads the team in home runs. And then you got Brinley Bain, who's Arkansas' star freshman, that leads the team in doubles. And those 2 girls didn't even get all SEC selections, but they're tremendous. And you obviously are probably familiar with Ella McDowell, been here for the past few seasons, and just a tremendous player offensively, but defensively as well. And then, of course, Dakota Kennedy, the Arizona transfer. Be interesting if Arkansas had to face Arizona in the Super Regionals. I feel like that happened a few years ago, but that is Dakota Kennedy's former team, and Kennedy has been maybe the best player on Arkansas this season. I know Tiana Bell and Brinley Bain might lead the team in batting average, but Kennedy has been just a really strong asset for this Arkansas softball team. So those are the kind of players, if you're watching the regionals this weekend, that you can look out for. But again, it would be awesome to see Arkansas. They got to do it one game at a time, but to get past the regionals and the super regionals. Okay, let's look at some other college baseball from around the natural state from the weekend. You see the scoreboard here. Little Rock, UCA, A-State, and UAPB. First starting off with the Trojans. They are now 30-22 overall, 16-8 after a 2-1 series win over UT Martin. That game Sunday was crazy. 16-14, the Trojans take down the Skyhawks. They lost that game too, so that was a little frustrating. They are 2 games back of first place in the OVC, and they're facing the team that they're 2 games back of, SIUE. I believe that will start this Friday, and it is a home series, so huge home series. I think maybe if Little Rock were to sweep Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, I should say, SIUE, then they would make it, and I believe they could win conference or get pretty close to it, and obviously have the 1 seed in the OVC tournament. Moving on to UCA, the Bears now 29-23 overall, 16-11. They got a nice series win in Conway, 11-6 Friday, and then Saturday a doubleheader. How about getting crushed 12-4 in the first game, and then coming back, being down 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th until you tie it up, and then you win it with a bases loaded, wild pitch by North Alabama to give UCA the 4-3 win. So they win that series, and they are 1 game back of first place in the gold division of the Atlantic Sun Conference. I think they go to Lipscomb this upcoming week, so should they win 2 of 3, I think they've got a chance to win their division. A team that does not have a chance is Arkansas State. Boy, have they been great at times this season, but they were not great past few weekends, honestly. They're now 28-22, 11-16 in conference play. They get swept at home by a Texas State team that is average this year, and Texas State just takes down Arkansas State, and that's how it ended there. They are now, I think, A-State 11th, tied for 11th in the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt Conference. They're also in danger of missing the conference tournament next week, and they've also this week, I should say. No, next week. That's the conference tournament next week. I actually should say that A-State at one time was considered to be an at-large team to make the NCAA tournament. I would say they're no longer being considered for that. Okay, finally, UAPB, they get the series win over Grambling, an ugly game on Saturday in game 1 of their doubleheader, but then they came back, got the win 8-6. They're now 15-12 in their conference. That is tied for 7th in the SWAC. Well, it's getting dark here in Fayetteville, and that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Luttie's Look Back on the road here at Baum-Walker Stadium. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again on the road later on this season, whether it's for regionals, maybe it's for super regionals, maybe we go on the road for super regionals. Wouldn't that be cool? Could be here, could be somewhere else. Maybe I'll get sent there, who knows? But we'll do it all together. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Luttie's Look Back. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week.